What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another video here on the Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel. Hit the like button if you haven't already, comment and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Share this out. Do all of the good stuff. With that being said, again, we're trying to reach the 2,000 subscriber mark, so please help us out. Share out. Do all of the good stuff as I mentioned before. So today I'm going to shift gears. We talked a little bit about J.J. McCarthy and how he may fit the Giants and all that sort of good stuff. We talked about a couple of the different guys. I talked a little bit about Malik Nabers before, but this video is going to be solely on him and how he fits the New York Giants. So let's get right into it. The New York Giants have an abundance of options to go with at 6 overall. Quarterback, it's here and there, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the top 5. I mean, you could already put away number 1. Number 2, you could probably put away. But 3, 4, 5, I think that's going to determine what the New York Giants do. Because maybe Malik Nabers is not even on the board, right? Maybe a quarterback's on the board that the Giants like. You know, maybe Drake May goes to the Patriots and Marvin Harrison goes to Cardinals and the Vikings don't trade up. Maybe it's the Chargers who take Nabers and then the Giants are either stuck with Odunze or McCarthy. Maybe that's the situation. But in most cases, as the way everything is turning out right now, Malik Nabers could very well be a New York Giant at 6th overall. And there's a lot of signs pointing in that direction, other than guys like, Drake May possibly being a Giant, J.J. McCarthy nonetheless. So I want to talk about a few quotes and a few pointing signs-ish, and then we'll talk about really why he fits to be in New York and why New York needs him. So this is something he said a couple of days ago when he was asked, I believe by Josina Anderson, about the whole New York situation. He said, that's the decision I'm going to have to be placed in when I hear my name called. I don't know where I'm going to New York. It wouldn't be a bad idea. The quarterback situation, I know they're going to figure it out, especially if they have a caliber receiver like me. They're going to want to get me the ball, so I'm sure they're going to want to have a quarterback that can do that. Now, I'm not totally ruling out that the New York Giants may or may not take a quarterback in round 2 or even trade back in the first round for a quarterback. The Giants, I don't think, have a history of that. They do have history of trading up for a quarterback. There was Eli Manning, but that was long ago. That was 2004. And you don't know how the board is going to fall. I mean, Penix could fall to the 2nd. He may fall to the late 1st. There might be other teams wanting Michael Penix. Again, a lot of unpredictable stuff with this whole draft process. But I do agree with Malik Nabers in that statement, and it kind of points out the unsureness a lot of players have, and maybe coaches too, and just people in general, about Daniel Jones playing the quarterback position, Drew Lock playing the quarterback position. Is that a situation that you're going to produce well in? And he also said, I know they're looking for that wide receiver one, especially after Odell Beckham Jr. left. If I could come in and be that guy, so be it. And that's going to be one of our key points when we talk about it in just a minute. And also, he added that Brian Daboll really liked him when asked about potentially being drafted by the Giants. And they had a very fun meeting from what we saw at the Combine, and Nabers was being asked. He's like, yeah, they asked me all sorts of fun questions and whatnot. But Nabers' background, before we go into why he fits the Giants in a great way, I want to talk about his background. Senior, 89 catches with LSU this season, 1,569 yards, 17.6 yards per reception, 14 touchdowns. And then the year prior, over 1,000 yards, 3 touchdowns only, 14.1 yards per reception, 72 catches. And his first year with LSU, total of 28 catches, 417 yards, 14.9 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. So one thing I will say is in college, right, the QB stats are always going to be high. And I believe the yards are going to be high if you're a great caliber receiver. And sometimes if you're just a good receiver. It depends on the college you're in, of course. And also as well, the yards per catch is probably going to be up high as well. But Malik Nabers, 2 years straight of over 1,000 yards, over 3,000 yards in his collegiate career. He played with Jaden Daniels. And he wasn't the only option on the offense. It was also Brian Thomas Jr. And they had a couple other guys mixed in the years that Malik Nabers was there. So let's go into, actually, believe it or not, we got to go into why Nabers would be a fit. Nabers himself, right? It was a couple of days ago I watched film of Malik Nabers, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect with this guy. There's reports saying this, there's scouting reports saying that, whatever. PFF put out some good numbers regarding him, at least the way they deem it. 94 grade against man coverage, 95 against zone or flip-flop. That, like, he had solid numbers. If you go to PFF, if you listen to PFF, he had great numbers against man and zone coverage. Meanwhile, if you do listen to a site like Draft Network, they will tell you, hey, he did not, something to be concerned about is his physicality against man coverage in the NFL. So it depends on who you listen to and, what your thoughts are and all that sort of good stuff. But as far as Nabers goes and the film I watched on him, there's obviously, things he could work on, kind of like every prospect in this class, but he is definitely a technician. He's a guy that makes defenders think. And the last thing you want to do as a defender, as a slot corner or outside corner, as a safety, or whatever defender is defending Malik Nabers, or a wide receiver in general, is you don't want to think. You just want to react. He gets guys hips open. He's great on the slot fade. He is a technician in his routes over the middle. Again, slot fade is mentioned, and he's explosive, and he's got yards after the catch ability, which the Giants really need. And I think it even links into how the Giants, need certain things. They have been missing a lot of things the last few years, which, really no secret, because guess what? They haven't been a contender, not a consistent contender. But they need a number one wide receiver since Odell Beckham Jr. left, because he got traded. We all know how that went down. The Giants have not been able to replace him at all. Golden Tate didn't work. Kenny Golladay didn't work. All these other guys they brought in did not work. And Malik Nabers is going to be the wide receiver one on this team. And there's a lot of other different things as to why he fits the Giants. He makes the players around him better. The Giants don't have these top-tier weapons, but they got solid weapons. Like, I'm not going to sit here and piss on Jalen Hyatt and the way he played in his rookie year because the quarterback situation was shit. Hell, Wan'Dale Robinson was one of the top guys in separation. And we get the excuse, the wide receivers can't separate. Wan'Dale Robinson was one of the top guys in separation last year, but he really couldn't do much of anything because of the quarterback play. The three quarterbacks that played that weren't really good enough, and the offensive line, all these other different things. So you have that. Darius Slayton, he could be a 1,000-yard receiver, but he's probably not going to be in his NFL career. He's probably going to be between 500 to 800 yards. But he would be, a wide receiver 4 in this situation, or Hyatt's a wide receiver 4 if the Giants welcome Malik Nabers. So there's that. And they would, in this situation, I've talked about how I've wanted a quarterback in this draft. Someone, in the likes of Caleb Williams is not going to come to the Giants, and neither is Jaden Daniels. But Drake May I find to be a good quarterback. A lot of flaws, but ceiling is high. You got J.J. McCarthy, who is a safe pick rather than a ceiling pick. And then you have Michael Penix, who has some injury history, but he has a lot of high upside. So those are the guys that I would take in this draft. But let's just say the Giants, for whatever reason, they pass that up. You're setting up your future quarterback, because it's not Daniel Jones, and it's sure as hell not Drew Lock. You're setting up your quarterback with a nice situation of, hey, Malik Nabers is there, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, if you'd like to re-sign him, and Wan'Dale Robinson, some solid receivers, and you could always back that up with depth, and then you could worry about whether Evan Neal works out or not, and all these other different things, if everything starts to mold together. That's obviously a separate situation with the quarterback, which we've gone over a zillion times, but getting Malik Nabers this high, and even Marvin Harrison Jr. as the receiver pick in general would, but we're specifically talking about Malik Nabers. He brings wide receiver 1 credibility, and he's setting your next quarterback up for success, whether it's in this draft or the following draft, and he makes the players around him better. Brian Thomas had over 1,000 yards. He was able to do that because Malik Nabers was such a dominant receiver in the SEC, and all the other receivers that followed behind him at LSU. And again, the Giants right now, if they have a quarterback that they like fall into the lap, whether it's McCarthy, whether it's Drake May, or something along those lines, if they fall into the lap of the Giants will probably take them. But also, they're not in a position, quote unquote, though I disagree with the philosophy, but I'm more into the realization that they won't trade up, is they don't have the quote unquote assets to trade up. But again, I disagree with that, though I have realized the Giants are probably not trading up for a quarterback. But they probably take the wide receiver in that situation. So a lot of good things, a lot of great things in terms of potential, why Malik Nabers could be a Giant, why he fits the Giants, why you should get excited if he comes to the Giants. And the Giants would finally be a little bit respected on the offense again because, we could talk about the quarterback situation, we could talk about the old line, but the Giants haven't had a number one wide receiver since 2018. Let's face the facts that way. But like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate you all coming back. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.